A judge is expected to decide today if the defendant facing the most serious charge in connection to the January 6th insurrection should be released from jail.
Stewart Rhodes, the founder of the far-right militia group The Oath Keepers, faces a number of charges, including seditious conspiracy. Now, Rhodes has been detained for about a month, and his lawyers want him released while he awaits trial. Now, Rhodes has pleaded not guilty to all charges. For more on this, let's bring in CBS News congressional correspondent Scott MacFarlane, who has been reporting on the latest developments on January 6th, which, by the way, is now the largest criminal investigation in U.S. history.
Hard to believe.
Scott, remind us of what the Department of Justice is alleging Rhodes did in connection with the Capitol assault, and what can we expect this afternoon?
Hey, Mola, this really is an inflection point in this largest criminal investigation in U.S. history. Stewart Rhodes is the highest profile and at this point the highest level defendant charged with seditious conspiracy. They say in so many words he was hatching a plan to attack the Congress and block the peaceful transfer of power. He's trying to get released from jail from the federal prison complex in Oklahoma today. If that happens, what a striking moment and what a potential precedent setter that is for the dozens of others who are still in pretrial detention but facing much lesser charges. Stewart Rhodes' argument is that he's so high profile, his face is plastered so many places, from television to the internet, that he's not a flight risk. Too many people know who he is and what he looks like. They're also arguing that Stewart Rhodes very much wants to go to trial, a high-profile trial. He wants the attention of the nation from trial, so he would have no intention to run. They say if he's not a flight risk, he's worthy of release pre-trial. That trial is set for late summer, early fall. Michelle and Mola really going to watch this hearing today. It could knock over a bunch of dominoes down the road.
Let's talk about those dominoes. If he does get out, what precedent could that decision set for those other defendants out there?
According to our latest CBS News reporting, Michelle, there are nearly 40 U.S. Capitol riot defendants locked up in pretrial detention in the Washington, D.C. jail alone. There are others in other places, but nearly 40 just down the street from the U.S. Capitol. They have been alleging inhumane conditions. The Washington, D.C. jail, even by jail standards, has a tough reputation, and the defendants have argued they've been denied many things: meetings with lawyers, access to the evidence, laptops and tablets with the evidence in their case on it. Some have argued they've been denied haircuts and shaves and hygiene, though the prosecutors would say only those who are unvaccinated have limited access to shaves and haircuts. But they've been making this argument for months now to get released. If they see Stewart Rhodes get released, they have another arrow in their quiver, another point to make when they go back to the judge and ask again.
I'm curious if that means for all of the defendants who are sitting in jail, not just the January 6th ones.
Could open the floodgates.
Yeah, sure could.
Scott, you've reported judges are increasingly expressing frustration with federal prosecutors and their handling of these cases. What more can you tell us about that?
Including moments ago, the chief judge of the Washington, D.C. federal court has told the Justice Department she has grave concerns the lower-level misdemeanors that the prosecutors have cut in dozens of cases so far with the lower-level defendants are, quote, fostering confusion about the severity of January 6th. The judge mentioned that political bromide we heard a couple weeks ago of legitimate political protest espoused by the Republican National Committee. The judge says prosecutors cutting low-level plea deals fuels that political rhetoric and denialism about the severity, the death, and the danger from January 6th. The prosecutors didn't have much of a response for the judge yesterday. It was lower-level prosecutors, not the Attorney General himself, not the top U.S. attorney in court. The prosecutors there basically deferred back to their Justice Department. But they're going to have to come up with a better answer because judges will continue to ask what message low-level plea deals set in such an important, impactful case.
Great reporting. Scott MacFarlane in Washington. Thanks, Scott.